She's an Emmy Award-winning actress for her role as Deborah Barone on the hit CBS sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond, though it's not true. She joins me tonight to talk about a movie she's produced with her husband, David Hunt. It's called Unexpected, a bittersweet family comedy that touches on themes of infertility and adoption. It's currently streaming on Amazon Prime. Here's my interview with Patricia Heaton. Patricia, thank you for joining me. The movie Unexpected features a serious topic, infertility, but it handles it with kind of a quirky humor and a life-affirming plot that discovers joy amidst the sadness and the chaos of these characters' lives. The movie is available now on Amazon Prime Video. How did you first come across the book on which it's based, Enslaved by Ducks?
Yeah, our agent at the time found the book for us, and it was quite charming. And what was interesting, it did not actually have an infertility plot line in it. It was really just about a guy who was kind of depressed, and his wife was collecting a lot of rescue animals. And we had written had a script written just based on the book, and it just didn't feel like there was any there. And so we leapt off of the fact that she was taking in all these rescue animals, and we focused in on that maternal energy that people have toward their pets. And we thought, what if the reason she's getting all these animals is because they're struggling with infertility? And that just made the whole movie come alive. And what was really interesting is we suggested this to our writer, and he came back with a rewrite in like 2 weeks, which is very fast. And we said, wow, that was
Mm-hmm.
quick. And he said, well, I never told you, but my two daughters are adopted, and we went through this. And so much of what
Wow.
is you see in the movie is verbatim from what he struggled with his own wife
Hmm.
and in their marriage. And this
Hmm.
is April is the National Infertility Awareness Month. So we wanted to have people become aware of this movie, because I think, there's a lot of the sort of medical aspect of what it takes to you know go through all that kind of stuff, IVF, what have you. But there's an emotional toll on a relationship, and it includes men and what they feel about going through it. And in our movie, which,
Yeah.
as you said, is done in kind of a funny, quirky way, is
Yeah.
about this couple. She wants to adopt and he doesn't. And it's about trying to get on the same page at the same time, and how men emotionally deal with it.
I want to give our audience a little taste of the movie. This is what you can expect. This is Unexpected.
Where does this kind of wood come from, Rupert?
I don't know, Bob. I think it's from a tree.
It might be nice to have a little animal hopping around the house. We could call him Binky. Oh, there's a chance that when he bites electrical cords.
I need to take you off rock and roll reviews for a while. The Underdeath review. I can't use it.
What was wrong with it?
You just wrote the word lies 9 out of 12 times.
How long did you want it?
Are you fully crazy or just mildly zonked?
I've heard good things about Zoloft.
Well, the lowest dose is 25 milligrams. We could start off with 50.
You're the doctor.
Let's start you off with 100 milligrams.
I'm no longer fit to be with civilized people.
Welcome to my life.
There is a plan for us, and we don't see it yet.
It's a cycle. Running as fast as we can in the wrong direction.
Patty, you and your husband, well, you co-produced this, but your husband, David, directed it. And
Correct.
tell me about the reaction that men had when they watched this film.
Well, even as we were filming it, one of the male crew members came up and he said, I've never seen a movie where they explored the male emotional side of this topic, and in general, what men go through emotionally in relationships. He goes, it's really nice to see a movie that really features both the husband and the wife in this situation. And we've had a couple screenings, Raymond, that were really moving. We did one in Chicago, and when we went up for the Q&A, there was silence, and we thought, oh, I don't think anybody liked the movie. And then person after person got up and said, thank you for telling our story. And one gentleman said, I didn't even know why I was coming here. My wife has dragged me to it. I didn't know what the movie was about, but this was our story. And then he started weeping, and he couldn't get through his comment. So it's been a quite a really meaningful response, and we're so happy that so many people felt seen. That's what a lot of people said.
Yeah.
We went through this and you captured it, and thank you for putting our story on the
Well,
screen.
Patty, people don't realize infertility affects over 10 million women in America. That's 12% of the U.S. population, women between 15 and 49, according to the CDC. And yet it remains this subject that few people talk about. How might Unexpected start a conversation about this, the topic
Well,
of infertility, and how it does affect us all and the impacts it has on us?
I think it's so hard for people who are struggling with it. Often you'll say to somebody, "Oh, do you have kids?" And someone will say no. And then you don't know whether to say, "Do you want kids or are you choosing not?" Like it's a topic you can't even begin to go into because it's so personal and it can be such an emotional minefield for people. And yet our society is really organized around families, schools, churches, communities. It is all about your kids, for 20 years of your life. So if you're not able to have them, where do you go as a family, as a couple? Where are you going to get the support, and how can you feel a part of a community that's family centric, that's child centric when you don't have any? So it's definitely a tough one. We love the approach of trying to find, not like we find humor in the situation, we find humor in the relationships. All good comedy comes from pain. You see that in Everybody Loves Raymond. You see it in The Middle. And
Yes.
so I feel like what happens when people laugh physically, they oxygenate themselves. Their body relaxes and opens up, and then you can receive the sort of deeper message and the moving stuff and the difficult stuff in the movie because you've kind of relaxed and opened yourself up to it. So I always feel
Wow.
that if you can have that humor in something, it makes it more powerful.
Patty, I could not agree with you more, but I had not considered the physical. I always say, try to inject a little humor. You want to make people laugh a bit because they relax and they'll hear you. But I hadn't considered the physical attributes of humor, which is a great insight. You
Yeah.
oxygenate, and you're sharing something with all the people around you. What do you make of Trump's plan to incentivize childbirth? You saw where he's giving away, essentially trying to build in tax credits for those who have children. A good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I know that for many people, when it comes to things like IVF or whatever, there's theological differences, especially as Catholics, about
Yes.
that. But generally speaking, I think it's the right thing to incentivize people to have families, to make it more affordable, to make adoption easier, because we are in a crisis of low birth rates all over the world. So it's very important, whether you want to think on a global scale, on a national scale, or just personally. Um, it challenges you as a human being to be a parent, and it deepens you, and it connects you more to the community because you're bringing kids into a world and you're going to be leaving them in this world, and so it connects you to the world in a way that you hadn't connected before. And I think,
Yeah, it matters.
I mean, it matters. And selfishly, as an actor, having children, whether you have them, conceive them naturally, whether you adopt, whichever way your children come to you, it unlocks a chamber of your heart that can only be unlocked by children. And as an actor, it so refocused everything about me. My work became much deeper, but much more efficient because I did not have time outside of rehearsal to worry about it. So I had to get the work done when I was at work because I had to pay attention to my family when I got home. So it did many wonderful things for me. And we have these four beautiful sons and their joy. And I hardly remember any of it because I was doing Raymond and The Middle and having four kids all at the same time. So
It's all a blur. No, it is a blur.
it's a
And
blur.
the days are, yeah, but the days are long, but the years are really short. I mean, that's,
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a weird phenomena we go through. You think this will never end. I'm just bouncing around. I can't keep up. And then all of a sudden they go away, Patty, and it's like, all you want to do is break down in tears because like your life is empty in some ways. Or, you have to readjust your life. You said in 2020, being a mother is indescribable joy, worry, delight, frustration, but ultimately the greatest satisfaction and deepest human love of your life. What encouragement
That's right.
would you give to couples who are unsure about having children? I meet a lot of young couples, Patty, who say, oh, we're going to wait till we're 35, or we're going to wait till after my career is set, or after I get out of graduate school. What would you tell them?
Well, you're never prepared for it. There's no way to prepare for a child. It just upends your life completely. So whether
Yeah.
you've got through grad school or you didn't, whatever situation you're in, you are going to be completely upended. So there's no perfect time to do it. I think doing it earlier is better if you found your spouse early on in life. Women are just naturally on a biological clock. There's nothing you can do about that. So early is better if that's possible. Because especially if you don't know whether you're going to be able to conceive, if you wait until you're 35 and then you find out, oh, this isn't going to be as easy as we hoped, there's a lot of pressure there. And so, look, Dave and I didn't even meet until I was 29 or 30 to 30. I mean, I don't think we didn't have my first one until I was 35. So I'm the example of someone who waited, but fortunately, once we
Yeah.
decided, the kids came pretty quickly. So that was just the grace of God. But if we had started earlier, we would have probably had 5 or 6 kids, because as hard as it was, they're so interesting. You're like, you're different. And you're different from the last one. What would another
Well,
one be like? Like,
that's a shocker, Patty, that you think, oh, I have this figured out. And then the second one comes and it's like, what is this
yes.
person? And then the third, and it's another, swivel moment. But and
That's
those are
right.
from the same parents, it's astounding.
That's
You and your
right.
husband, David, often work together on projects. How do you balance family life and career? I know, you can't, the problem is you can't escape the workplace. He literally comes home with you.
Yes. We're both actors, we're both opinionated, we both have big egos. So we have had to kind of work at how to work together, and what the hierarchy is, and who's in charge at this particular, and on this particular project or on that particular show. And it's a constant thing where we have to keep figuring it out. And we've been married for 4 years, something like that. And we're kind of the Bickersons. Like, it's two actors. It's like, shouldn't be working at all. Like, and then we shouldn't be together for 34 years, but here we are. But it's because it's just like a real relationship, and you can't let
Hmm.
the fact that you have disagreements or personality clashes be a reason that you're not together or not working it out, especially if you have
Mhm.
kids.
Patty, as the world commemorates the life of Pope Francis, I know you all had an opportunity to meet him. What was that experience like? What did you take from that encounter with the Holy Father?
Well, he was still pretty fragile. Even back then, that was 2022, and there was a bit of a fragility with
Mm.
him. He was in a wheelchair. But we were there with a number of artists, and it was sort of a meeting of people talking about how to use their gifts that God has given them in the world of arts. And he talked about the importance of the arts and the importance of putting beauty into the world. And I think, the Catholic Church in its long history has really always glorified God through the arts. And so it was a very meaningful coming together. It's part of our history as Catholics. And, we continue to, when you think of Pope John Paul, and that he had
Mm.
started out as an actor, which I always loved.
Yes, he
It's
did.
wonderful to see, to be a part of that, and to know that that's our heritage and that's our calling. It's our calling. And not everybody can be a brain surgeon, and not everybody um, can be a scientist or a banker. Because sometimes I look at what I do and it just seems silly. But somebody's got to make people laugh in this world.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I feel
That is
blessed that
right.
God chose me to help make people
Well,
laugh to get through some of these situations.
we're starved for joy, Patty. And I have to tell you, my wife was recently ill. She had a foot thing, surgery, and couldn't leave the house. We found Everybody Loves Raymond episodes, and they just were a delight in the middle of the day. You can just sit back and enjoy. Everybody can relate with the foibles of this family. And when you're Italian, you really can relate. And it's just, John Paul was right and Francis was right. Beauty is so needed in the world, and you do a wonderful job doing that and have throughout your career, and especially in this new film as well. So I thank you for
Thank
bringing
you.
it into reality with your hubby, and we'll touch base in the days ahead. And you can go watch Unexpected now on Amazon Prime Video, and I think you should. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.